Let's spend a little time thinking about what makes a good summary. Now, summarizing sometimes seems like kind of an elementary thing for people, but it's actually an advanced reading comprehension skill. And one of the reasons is that you're reading more complex texts, especially once you get into those academic articles that you will have to look at for Project 1. So essentially, when you're writing a summary to me, you're trying to communicate the writer's one message, their one thought, their thesis statement. Eventually, you're going to write thesis and purpose statements for your own papers. And the way I want you to think about those, and we'll come back and talk about this again, is your thesis statement is a one-sentence summary of your whole argument. What you're going to do, your paper is the whole thing. Thesis is one-sentence summary. You're going to write a one-paragraph summary of everything that's everything important in the article that you read. So basically, what you want to do in the very first sentence of a good summary is give that one sentence summary. Let the reader know right up front what the point is. Then every sentence that comes after that is an elaboration, it's more detail, it's only the major important details that help the reader understand that first sentence summary. So you can decide what really matters. You don't have to include every example. You don't have to include every piece of evidence, just the important points. If that paragraph is all I'm going to read from that author's thought, what do I have to take away in order to understand it? In theory, that summary should give me everything I need to know without having to turn to the article. What you want to avoid is what I call describing the article, and that means giving me a linear description of what happens. First the writer does this, then the writer does that, then the writer does that. You don't need to do that. Pretend like it's your own words. We'll come back to that in a second. Pretend like it's your own words. Tell me the point, and then give me the important supporting details. I don't need to know what happens in order. I don't need to know where the article starts and ends. Forget it. I don't need a narrative. I can read the article if I want to read the article. It's not an outline. It's just the bullet points, just the message. Now, I said pretend like it's your own words, but you're not going to totally do that. You're going to make it clear to the reader right up front that you're using somebody else's words. Now, if you were quoting, you would just give the name of the person, and then you would put that quotation in quotation marks, and then you would cite with an MLA source at the end. When you're summarizing or paraphrasing, you don't use the writer's exact language, you don't use quotation marks. You are still going to give a citation, though. We'll talk about that more in just a second. But first, let's talk a bit about the difference between summarizing and paraphrasing, because that's going to come up when you write your longer pieces. A paraphrase is like a quote in the sense that it's about the same amount of space as the writer's original words. It's just that you put it in your own words because you don't feel like you need theirs. You can put it in yours instead. Okay? You still have to give credit when you write your research papers to the author, even if you're paraphrasing, not just using their words. Summarizing is the author's point, but in your words and shorter. Generally, it should be about a third of the length of the original. Now, I've given you a specific length here. I want a paragraph. The paragraph is just the major details and that one sentence summary. But when you're writing a summary, a good thing to do is in that first line, when you're giving the main idea in one sentence, give me the author's name. So if you had someone named Adam Smith and he was making an argument about why it's a bad idea to do pure breeding of dogs, I'm going to keep using this example. You want to say, and then name the article, Adam Smith argues that, and then give the point. And then, at the end of that sentence, give me all the rest of the important details. Okay? At the end, I want you to give an MLA works cited citation. And you've got a link on Blackboard to some resources that will help you do that. So essentially, this is your first crack, and I know this may be a review for some of you, at using someone else's language, presenting it objectively, not with your own opinion, but just objectively, and then giving credit at the end. Right? So basically, a good summary should represent the author. It should not be your opinion. It should be stated clearly, and it should be brief. Okay? I'm looking forward to seeing the summaries that you come up with in your Project 1 and beyond, and please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions.